Let's make air dry clay flower frogs. I got 5 simple steps. Let's begin. You don't need a whole lot of things for this project. You want some clay, a bowl of water. I like parchment to try and keep my work surface clean. I have a baggie to, make sure my excess or remaining clay doesn't dry up. But really, I'm not going to do a whole lot of commentary because it's really pretty self-explanatory. If you do have any questions as a result of this video, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments, and I'm happy to answer any questions. But the project I'm making are flower frogs, and I have a 5 simple step. You're just going to prepare the clay, getting it ready to be rolled out and formed. You can get a cookie cutter to make your base, but here I'm just preparing the clay, adding a little tiny bit of water, very little, trying to get rid of any cracks that might be there, and just kneading it in my hand. It's lovely clay. I really love this DAS or DAS. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but this is my favorite clay out of all of them. So I'm just kind of flattening it out a little bit and getting it prepped for my rolling pin. And I have just a simple plastic roller, but this is the vase that I want to use, and I'm just kind of getting a feel for the size. You could roll it out and then take your vase and make a place. I had some stencils and found that those would be pretty helpful. Also, I come from the silver metal clay era where you had cards to roll out your silver clay. These are popsicle sticks. I like to have 3 popsicle sticks. That gives me a nice thickness to roll out evenly, and it's just a way for me to control the thickness to keep it all nice and symmetrical and equal, and just I like how it works for me. And you can take it down to 2 sticks, 1 stick, whatever thickness you prefer. I wanted this to be a little beefier since it's going to be on my vase, and I want it to be pretty solid to hold all of the flowers in place. So I'm just rolling it out right now, and I like to try and protect my work surface as much as I can, but I really don't have to use the parchment. I just find it pretty handy. Just verifying, making sure all of my edges are fairly equal, and since I'm not going to be using all the way to the edge. So now I have my stencil that kind of matches the size that I want to use, and I just kind of imprint it a little bit, and I begin cutting around the stencil to make my base. So now that I have my base cut out, I do have some excess clay that I will want to use later, so I just take a paper towel, dampen it, take that excess clay, kind of prime it a little bit, put it in the center, and just set it aside so I can get started with my flower frog. So now what we're going to do is step 3, we're going to smooth out the edges, and really all it takes is your finger and some water. Just dip your finger in. You don't want to oversaturate anything. You just want to watch as it starts to, it almost like melts away. You can use a paintbrush, any kind of tool that you'd like to use to smooth out the rough edges. We have our edges smoothed out. We also smoothed out the top and the bottom. Now we're at step 4. Let's create the holes for our flowers. So we have the holes cut for the flowers in our flower frog. Now it's time to set it aside and let it do its thing. That's because it's air dry clay. You don't need a kiln, and that's what I love about it. All the little pieces that I cut out, I'm not going to squash. I'm going to use them on another project. But as with everything, this is so fun. I decided to do a whole bunch of stuff. This is just a smaller version. I used 2 sticks for a different thickness. I have this mason jar that I thought would be real cute. It's short and just make a different diameter. So we'll go quickly through this before we get to the drying and finishing of step 5. This brings us to step 5, drying and finishing. This is where it gets fun. What I have here they're actually nail files from like Sally Beauty. I use them as sandpaper. This is where you pull your sandpaper out. I've let these two dry for probably 24 to 48 hours. But what I did do is I turned them. I didn't let them just sit in one spot. I turned them so that they would dry in a uniform fashion. And I think that's what helped prevent cracking or warping. I did keep it on the parchment paper and just laid them on the table, and periodically as I walked by, turned them. So now what I'm doing is sanding off all imperfections, just trying to smooth out the edges, wanting to finish off the holes where the flowers will go through. I want nice smooth edges. And I used an X-Acto knife and cut into one of the files so that I could easily insert it within the holes and kind of get all of the edges nice and smooth for a nice finish, so that when I paint them, everything will just look really nice and finished. You may want to wear a mask. As you can see, the particles are pretty fine, or you may want to just go and be in a well-ventilated area. Now that we have our flower frogs sanded really well, I tried to wipe them down as much as I could, but look at that dust that was left. So I got a microfiber and started wiping everything down, trying to get as much of that fine, fine dust off of my flower frogs. I didn't want to have that dust on there when I started to paint and finish everything. So look at that. There's just so much dust left over, and I really wiped them down. Okay, let's start decorating. I got these new mica powders in the mail. I got 50 colors, and they are makeup grade. They are really, really nice. Of course, I poured out too much, but the goal here was to take this acrylic buff white, mix it with the mica powder to make a pearlescence buff white. Well, of course, I poured out too much mica powder, thus needing more paint, and I started to blend everything together, and it was really kind of subtle. I wasn't real pleased with the look of it, but I proceeded, since I did put everything out there. This is all an experiment, and that's what's so fun about all of this, is you can just experiment. And you can see it's got a little bit of a shimmer, but it was okay. I thought it was not exciting. So anyways, I finished, painted it front and back all around, and then set up to paint the other flower frog. So we got that one. I did Viridian acrylic, and then I also did a cadmium yellow medium. Didn't want it to be just a flat color, and got some nice variations on it and set it aside to dry. And now I've got this triple thick, which is a glaze along with my mica powder, a gold, kind of metallic looking gold powder, and thought I'd go over the buff white, which it turned out pretty nice. It's really pretty. So I finished up painting that, and it's kind of shiny. I don't know how good it looks in the video, but in real life it looked pretty good. So I also got the dishwasher Mod Podge. Not that that's going to go into any water, but it'll be around water. And decided to just take that and protect the second flower frog, the green one, and just, you know, covered it real well, and set it aside to dry. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and got some value out of it. I know I enjoyed making it. My flower frogs They did great. I really enjoyed the process and love the outcome. I hope you give it a try and let me know what you think. If there's any questions, leave them in the comments. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. There's going to be a lot more where this is. I know air dry clay has a lot coming in the future for me. I also do paper creations and jewelry making. For more in-depth information about other projects, feel free to reach me at creativerise.art. Thanks.